Under oath, the CDC director went head-to-head with Republicans who want a ban on travelers from West Africa. Fred Upton of Michigan.
We should not be allowing these folks in, period.
But Dr. Tom Frieden argued that would make Americans less safe.
If passengers are not allowed to come directly, there is a high likelihood that they will find another way to get here, and we won't be able to track them.
On a daily and almost hourly basis, there are more conflicting reports about the Ebola crisis and the governmental handling of same than there are attack ads blaming Republicans for the virus, making it to and then spreading in America. Emergencies are what the CDC and others are paid to think about 24/7 and be ready to jump into the fight on a second's notice and pull America's feet out of the fire. And it's obvious plenty of people are not earning their keep. Let's go around the dial. Welcome back. Former Director of the Federal Emergency Management Administration, now ruling the radio at KHOW, KHOW 630 in Denver. Michael Brown joins us. Michael, good to have you on the show again.
Good to see you again, Ed.
Let's start it right out here with the hearings that happened yesterday. In your opinion, should CDC boss Tom Frieden be getting himself a realtor?
You know, here's my take on this. Having been through that same kind of grilling, there's a point where you lose public confidence. And I think the best thing he could do for the president, particularly considering now that the president has appointed a czar, which is a whole different subject, I think the director ought to just say at this point, you know what, let me step aside because right now I'm a distraction.
Then let's talk about the czar as well, because the gentleman they're putting in place right now, Ron Klain, and if you look at some of his background, the one thing that stands out, he does not have any extensive background in health care, but the job is called a managerial challenge. Now, you know, a lot of people are going to attack that right away and say, shouldn't the guy who's involved in the CDC at least know the medical field?
Well, I think the question's even larger than that, Ed. What we need to do is recognize we already have a czar that's in charge of public health, and that's the Assistant Secretary for Emergency Preparedness and Response in HHS. We already have that person in place, Dr. Lurie, L-U-R-I-E, I think is the way you spell her name. She has been noticeably absent. So what we're doing now is we're trying to fix a problem in CDC that should have already been managed by someone that Congress has already authorized to be the person in charge of these kinds of things. And now we're going to make a political appointee that, on top of that, I mean, this is bureaucracy run amok again. This drives me nuts because this is exactly what happened with the creation of the Department of Homeland Security.
Doesn't this come back, though, to what I said here at the beginning of this segment, and that's this is their job. 24/7, 365, they're supposed to be thinking about these things. There's a number of stories out there saying that 10 years ago we knew about the possibility of this, that 8 years ago we knew. This continues to go back to SARS, the avian bird flu. We knew this was going to happen. This administration, like so many others, has simply walked away from this and really thought, don't worry, it'll never happen here. It's America. It's pathetic what they have done here, is it not?
Well, not only is it pathetic, Ed, but it shows that big government is not the answer. Look, in 2000, I want to say 2003, 2004, somewhere in that time frame, Congress passed what was called BioShield. And BioShield, along with a couple of subsequent programs, is what created within Health and Human Services this existing assistant secretary position that's already in charge of this. Part of BioShield was to prepare the country for epidemics and pandemics of all sorts, including bioterrorism attacks. And so here we are some 10 years later, and nothing's been done. They're spending money on playgrounds, studying motorcycle helmets, studying obese lesbian women, instead of focusing on what they're supposed to be doing. This is proof positive the government is just too big, out of control. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility.
You're talking about the National Institutes of Health spending more than $39 million on, according to the Washington Free Beacon, obese lesbians, origami condoms, texting drunks, and dozens of other projects, which is another story altogether. 30 seconds we got here right now. Do you or do you not support the travel ban?
Absolutely. The travel ban is the smartest thing that we could do. London's done it, Paris has done it, British Airways have done it, Air France has done it. It's the only, it makes perfect sense, even when you take the president at his own word that says we must contain Ebola at its source. Its source, those 3 West African nations.
The station, once again, is K-House 630 in Denver, Colorado, one of my favorite cities in America. Lived there for many years, enjoyed it. And if you're in Denver, I know you're listening to Michael Brown. Mike, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
You bet. Take care, Ed.
All right, take care. Later on this hour, see what happens when a bunch of angry people target one man for their ire and the national health is at stake. And after the break, another way in which your voice is harvested and kept on file for your own protection.